Authority, who handles the trains and the buses, has now tested positive for coronavirus. And now a 7-year-old girl in the city. We have news on her condition tonight. And a physician's assistant who says he believes he was infected at a conference held in Times Square. He's 32, no underlying conditions, and what he's experiencing tonight. And in Washington state, the death toll rising. They are now in the middle of a nursing home crisis. ABC's Whit Johnson on the states of emergency unfolding across this country tonight.
War against the Chinese virus. We'll be invoking the Defense Production Act just in case we need it.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah, please, John, please.
Study found nationally assaults against Asians went up a staggering 260% between 2020 and 2021. The NYPD alone finding a 360% increase in incidents.
Asian piece of shit.
Oh my God. Go back to whatever Asian country you belong in.
The shooting spree began around 5 p.m. Monday at Young's Asian Massage Parlor in Cherokee County, 30 miles north of Atlanta. 2 victims died at the scene, 2 more at the hospital. Less than an hour later, police were called to Gold Spa, an Atlanta massage parlor, where police say 3 women who appeared to be Asian had been shot and killed.
While at that location, we received another call across the street at shots fired.
That location was aromatherapy spa, where another victim, who also appeared to be an Asian woman, died.
Discrimination against Chinese immigrants had begun decades earlier, when the California gold rush created a massive demand for labor. Initially, Chinese immigrants were welcomed as reliable workers and became essential parts of frontier communities. Many built railroads and worked in the mines, while others operated laundries, restaurants, and general stores. The 1868 Burlingame Treaty even granted China favored trading status with the US and allowed unrestricted migration between the 2 countries.
American Studies professor Josephine Park says the forever foreigner stereotype is not only hurtful, it has led to racist U.S. laws.
The first group of people excluded from entry to the U.S. were Asians.
The Page Act of 1875 was the first U.S. law to restrict immigration. It effectively banned entry by so-called lewd and immoral Chinese women. The Chinese Exclusion Act later prohibited all Chinese immigration. And these laws were just the first of many policies born out of the false perception that Asians pose a threat to our nation's economy, health, and safety.
It's a part of the kind of deeply inhuman characterization of Asians. They're considered alien.
Many states made it illegal for Asians to own or lease land. At the turn of the 20th century, before COVID-19, some health officials blamed the Chinese for a different disease, the bubonic plague. And under Executive Order 9066, more than 120,000, mostly Americans of Japanese descent, were imprisoned during World War II.
There was barbed wire there, and you couldn't go out. They lost everything. They lost their businesses. By the time they came back, everything was gone.
In Highland Park, Michigan, 2 white men targeted and beat to death 29-year-old Chinese-American Vincent Chin because he was Asian. The judge gave the men probation and a $3,000 fine.
The charge, second-degree murder, plea bargain to manslaughter. The sentence, a $3,000 fine each, 3 years probation, no time in prison.
Is it because he is Chinese?
Is that what you think?
I think that's what it is. Discrimination.
They were given fines of less than what a used car would have cost that they could pay off at $120 a month. And the judge said, these are not the kind of men you send to jail.
These are just some of the gruesome reminders a woman has from last Sunday night.
Following Lee into her apartment in Manhattan's Lower East Side before fatally stabbing her.
Another man knocked to the ground in broad daylight.
He had to go back to the hospital because his left eye wouldn't stop bleeding.
The senseless death of 84-year-old Thai immigrant Vishar Ratanakpakdi.
So many of our elders being violently attacked.
Countless stories nationwide of Asians on the receiving end of verbal and physical assaults since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, simply because of their ethnicity.
Did President Trump intentionally mislead the American people about the threat of COVID, a pandemic that has now cost the lives of nearly 200,000 Americans?
Absolutely not. This president, at a time when you're facing insurmountable challenges, it's important to express confidence. It's important to...
So brutally attacked in broad daylight, kicked out of his seated walker while waiting for a city bus to show up. He alleges San Francisco's DA did not properly communicate with him after filing charges against his attacker.
我感到唔安全嘅，所以我唔出街㗎，我冇辦法啊！我非必要時我哋出啫，唔係我一般我都唔出街嘅。
So it looks like the GOP has an updated take on redlining, this time targeting a new racial demographic. A new bill filed in the Texas State Senate aims to ban citizens, governments, and entities of China from purchasing any property in Texas, including residential property. Unsurprisingly, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has already unequivocally said that he'll sign the bill.